I have a very fun color quickie for you all today. Not only am I going to review a beautiful Benjamin Moore paint color in this video, but I've also built an entire color palette around it, including 3 other colors and 2 choices for your trims and your baseboards. The color is called Picnic Basket, and it's from the Color Stories collection by Benjamin Moore, notated by CSP, all those CSP colors. And this is currently their newest selection of paint colors that were designed for the Aura line of paint. But guess what? You can get these colors in their other products now too, which is super exciting. And the main reason this is a very special episode is because this is a color that was requested by one of our esteemed channel members, Dana. So thank you so much for your suggestion. And I must admit, Dana, and everyone else watching, Picnic Basket wasn't really on my radar, which is kind of shameful for me to say as the paint guy. Even though I am a huge fan of the CSP colors, Picnic Basket is one that I have yet to investigate. One of the big things that make the Color Stories colors so unique is the fact that they often have twice the number of individual colors inside of them to make up each paint. So you're not going to find anything here that just has some gray and a bit of green, for example. Which is kind of funny because that's mostly what you're getting with Picnic Basket on the outside. It's really a subtle combination of green, blue, and gray, which is totally a coastal, modern farmhouse lover's dream. I actually love combining design styles. Upon first glance, looking at Picnic Basket, I was reminded of another paint color by Sherwin-Williams, believe it or not, that I'm really fond of, and it's called Rain Washed. Having the 2 colors side by side, you can see they have a similar aesthetic, although I would say that Rain Washed seems a little more saturated and maybe more straightforward with a blue-green aspect, almost veering towards a light turquoise. Picnic Basket, on the other hand, feels to have a touch more of blue and definitely more gray. It's a little more of a toned down sort of aesthetic. And with that added gray, it also comes with more depth and a lower light reflectance value. This color is a mid-tone, but it's just inching on the lighter side of being in the middle. So that tells my gut that this is a secondary color. A color that I wouldn't necessarily rely on as the main primary color in a palette, but more of a supportive color for those secondary spaces in your home. But then again, there are certain design styles where this would be a natural fit, even in more abundant use cases. I for sure see this working in transitional decor, obviously coastal, modern farmhouse, even industrial, I could see it being great. There are many ways you can justify using a color like Picnic Basket, even as the main color, as long as it works with you personally. And to be honest, it is more of a subtle approach to color and the hue of it, not really in your face. So it does get some points in the versatility department because of that. There will be circumstances where you won't really notice much of that blue at all, and you'll just end up with this crisp gray with some life to it. Something about these CSP colors that just has this interesting complexity to them that not a lot of other colors have. Normally, I would say a color like this would be great in bathrooms, and it will, although I wouldn't mind seeing it in a kitchen, or at least in like a dining area breakfast corner, or even a family room for a more contemporary, sleek look. Great choice, Dana. Why don't we get into some of the color pairings that I chose with it? And I also resisted the urge to use a ton of neutral grays to go with it because Dana is not the biggest fan of gray. Well, that is, except for the first color, which is Grandma's China. I just had to. But at least Grandma's China isn't a cool, lifeless gray. It's definitely more towards the warm, grayish side of things, where it's more of a muted beige coloration. I just think the color palette needed something that was both lighter than Picnic Basket and maybe a touch warmer as well to add some dimension. And I think when using a color like this, it will bring much more attention to that beautiful coolness found in Picnic Basket. So really, Grandma's China is the canvas, and Picnic Basket ends up being a beautiful watercolor on top of it. The next color I want to add to this palette is Stained Glass. And all these colors are from the CSP collection, by the way. I thought it would be fun to stick to all CSP colors for this video. This is, of course, going to be a pure, deep, and rich blue favored teal. This is also a much darker color than the rest, so you'll probably want to use this in accent form. I love this color in a bedroom because it's deep, which means it'll help you sleep. It could also be an exciting living room color, and that's because the living room is often used as a bit of a showpiece space, just like the powder room does as well. Although I'm pretty sure the powder room will get used no matter what. I'll just leave it at that. The third color is definitely the wild card of the bunch. I was gonna say trump card, but that felt a bit weird.
You're fired.
Pressed Violet is to me the true accent color of the bunch because it takes things into a completely new direction that feels fresh and different. It's one of those periwinkle purples that combines blue and violet, and it's one that will really be for a very specific purpose. This is a color that would be reserved for one room that maybe you want to feel more upscale and elegant. There's also a good chance that the paint color will be the star of the show, so probably not an awesome choice in a very busy room in your home where a ton of things are going on. I think a color like this will shine in a much more simplistic decor. It's kind of a less is more borderline minimalist approach to furnishing. That's where I see a color like this really flourishing. When there's less going on in the room, your eyes will just be drawn to that beautiful lavender on the walls. Also, you can just use it in very small doses. One of my favorite ways to add it in is painted furniture, like a very simple dresser that will be elevated with this pop of color. The baseboard color that I would recommend for this palette, and I got two of them actually, are Crisp Linen and Rainstorm. Crisp Linen is the beautiful, bright, warm white from the Color Stories palette, and then Rainstorm is a cloudy gray-green, not unlike Picnic Basket, but what you're getting is a color with even more depth, just outside of mid-tone territory with an LRV around 30. To me, it's a natural fit as a slightly more subtle trim option for Picnic Basket that still gives you noticeable contrast. Here's the palette all together. Thanks again, Dana, and all the rest of the channel members for your video suggestions. If you want to become a member and further support what we do on this channel, it'll be awesome if you click that join button today or tomorrow. You can sleep on it. If you're wondering about that Sherwin-Williams color we talked about earlier, here it is. I'll satisfy your curiosity. This is me ranting about Rain Washed, and it's great.